Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to tell you a short story about an interesting geopathic energy situation that I resolved just actually today. And the situation has been increasing in intensity over the last 5 days, 5 to 6 days. And so finally it got so bad and was causing so much discomfort, body discomfort, piercing pain in my adrenal gland, my energetic function of my dowsing, the energetic function of my adrenal gland had dropped to 2% of optimal function. So that was not good. I was losing sleep. I had one night where I literally didn't get any sleep at all. And so I was getting a little bit fatigued, and that was, concerning. So I finally just really put all my attention on it. It says, wow, I've got to solve this problem. And there were some other things going on energetically, but I really felt that the geopathic energy problem that I had detected, there was some kind of naturally occurring problem going on, really is the thing that needed to be resolved. So anyway, bottom line is I'm going to show you the picture of what was going on. I did find the problem, and it was negatively charged grid pathways, and three of them, and you'll see them here. And what's interesting about this particular case is that all of these situations could have actually been prevented. I'm going to start with the first one, which is kind of humorous in that you see the green line there. Um, that is pathway is initiated over on the far side of the room, and then it goes all the way across the room, just outside the wall of the side of the room over here. I don't know if you can see the area, but the side of the room to the I guess it would be the left side, the opposite side of where this kitchen island is. But where the energy enters the room at that point, just on the outside of that wall, and it goes and it crosses and it terminates, interestingly, with my cat box. Now, 6 days prior, the cat box had been in a kind of hidden corner, and I happened to do a feng shui evaluation of my space on that day, and realized that the cat box was in just a really bad spot. And so I moved it was in the prosperity corner of the kitchen dining area, and which is where I spend most of my time. You never want to put something non-beneficial, some non-beneficial symbol in any important part of the energy grid in a space in the room where you spend the most time, because it's going to be very influential. So I moved the cat box immediately to the location where you see it in this picture, where the little green X is. And not long after that, and I didn't connect the dots until after the fact, until after I resolved this whole problem, or after I at least resolved this problem of this green grid pathway that you see. It wasn't actually green in color. I just kind of color coded the picture here. But I went outside to find I took a dowsing rod, and again, most of you know what dowsing rods are. If you don't know what they are, watch my YouTube videos on learning how to dowse with dowsing rods. And I took a dowsing rod, and I basically traced the perimeter of the room, and found first the green pathway, the pathway that's marked in green. And I got that, again, the energy was on the other side of the space. So I went outside, and what I found on the other side of the wall was the trash bag. I had completely forgotten about this, even though I went out there every day. It's the trash bag, the big black garbage bag that I put my little cat poop bags in. So I scooped the cat poop out of the litter box and the clumps, and I put it in these little white bags and tie that up. And then I immediately take them outside and I put them in this black bag to keep them outside until they're ready to go to the dump. And that's exactly where I have kept that bag. And I do throw it away through, regularly. But the point of it is there's a pile of cat poop in that location every day, and has been there every day for about 5.5 months now. And that poop bag out there basically created enough decay energy to damage the spirit unit, which is basically the primary energetic matrix of the space in that little location. And when you have natively charged grid pathways, the basic way it works is you've got a grid pathway There's this big energetic grid that surrounds us in all directions, and you've got if you have a grid pathway, and if you have point A that's got a toxic frequency pattern to it, and like the cat poop, and then you've got point B somewhere down the line, and it's got the same resonance or very similar resonance. If those 2 points get strong enough, it's almost like they can talk to each other like a telephone call, like a chakra link on the grid system. And it charges, ultimately charges the area between point A and point B. And that's exactly what had happened here. Didn't take long after I moved that cat box into a position that into this position, and whatever it was about this position, it made it extremely easy for the resonance to occur between point A and point B, and voila, you create this line of toxic energy. Now, was aware that I didn't connect it with the cat box, but as soon as I had moved that cat box, I realized after the fact that I became sitting in any of these chairs, especially on this side of the table where the green line is running through, I had just almost an impossible time sitting in those chairs. And I had to move myself over to the other side of the table, and I found that wasn't that comfortable either. But if I sat in this chair on the far side, where the purple line is kind of coming down in between those two chairs, it was not as bad. The pain in my adrenal wouldn't be as bad, but it still was bad. But anyway, it was excruciating over on the green side. Well, I simply moved. The way I solved that problem is I simply moved the black bag of cat poop, and it immediately collapsed that pathway. And not only did it douse that it wasn't there, I couldn't find it using a dowsing rod, but I realized instantly that there was a reduction in the pain level, the stress and pain level around my adrenal. So I knew something had shifted positively. So I then wanted to find the purple pathway, which you see next. And you can see I'll leave the picture of me up a little bit. But the purple pathway was, well, actually, no, I won't. The purple pathway was, I also found just by dowsing the perimeter of the room, and I found the point where their energy was entering the space. There's kind of, with these grid pathways, there's almost always a direction of flow. Sometimes there's a multiple direction. There'll be energy moving in one way and energy moving in another. But usually there's one direction of flow. And that's what I look for. I look for where the energy is basically entering the space. So it was over on this side, far side of the dining area, but the source of the energy, I had to go outside, and my rod pointed into the distance, and it was actually probably about at least a quarter mile away from in the landscape area from where the house actually is, but way out there in the distance. On some little piece of the landscape out there, there was a spirit unit break. There was a break in the energetic matrix of the space, and it had created kind of a little negative vortex and toxic zone that was piling up negative energy. And okay, so that's sitting there, and I doused, well, where does this thing go? And it went all the way through the house, all the way to the other side of the house. And I asked if it extended beyond the house. The answer was no. It actually terminated right at the end of the house. Where you see it terminate. Well, right there, you see the words electrical panel. That spot where it terminated is the electrical panel where the main cable from the power company comes in to supply the house with all the power. And I knew early on when I moved into this house that panel box was a bit of a problem that I would need to pay attention to, because it has a very strong electric field. And when I first moved into the house, I found I was having a lot of spirit attachment problems. And I found that it was because of that electrical panel box. And spirits are very often attracted to really strong electric fields. So that box was kind of like a beacon for spirits. And so fine, once I know what's going on, it's easy enough to take care of. And I was just regularly making sure that the box stayed clean. If too many spirits get attached to a piece of equipment, they'll ultimately break the energetic matrix of the equipment, the spirit unit of the equipment. And then that creates big big problems because lots of stuff then that's traveling on the grid system, non-beneficial stuff, gets stuck in that spot. It's kind of like a pothole in a highway. And so at the very least, if I would just keep the spirits off, then there wouldn't be a spirit unit break problem and it wouldn't get out of control. So I would just, very regularly clear off the spirits. It takes seconds to do it. But I went on vacation in December. I was gone the whole month of December. And when I came back, I've been very busy, and it didn't cross my mind. I forgot about checking the panel. And that panel box, once again, had gotten loaded with spirits. It had broken the spirit unit of the panel box, and it had created a point A and point B scenario that was strong enough to magnetize and charge that entire grid pathway with a point a quarter mile away. Now, this is not uncommon. I've seen situations like this happen. But the point of the story is that it's the panel box. Had I taken care of that, had I not neglected it, because this problem was recent. This problem wasn't present, the first 2 weeks of January even. I think it's only been present in the house for about 3 or 4 days, or 5 days maybe, and could have something to do with the cat poop scenario, because you'll notice the cat poop line, it crosses that area, and it could be that what caused the spirit unit break way out in the distance there, it could be that it's like sheep poop or cattle poop, because this is sheep and cattle country, and there are sheep and cows. There's certainly sheep right now, even in the winter. The cows are in the barns right now, but the sheep are still everywhere. So that, if there's enough of a buildup of that could possibly cause a spirit unit break. And so anyway, long and the short of it is that was the second problem that was creating issues and making it so uncomfortable at that table and aggravating the adrenal situation and all that. How did I solve the problem? I cleared off the spirits. I patched up the spirit unit of the panel box. I called in the powers of nature to assist me in repairing the spirit unit of the breakage area out there in who knows where land, somebody else's farmland, and patched that up in a matter of minutes. And that was the end of that. It dissipated the pathway. And not only was I able to verify that with dowsing, but I had a noticeable reduction in the pain in the adrenal area. But there was still something going on, and I knew it. And the last thing was this orange band that you see here. And it ends up that orange band has probably been in the space. I doubt it's been in the space for about five and a half months. And you'll notice that it's kind of interesting in that the whole grid pathway is contained within a small area of the house. It starts at a sofa in the den, and it terminates with not with a chair on the end of that table, but with the space right around the chair at that table. And the cause of this, now I have been having some pain in the adrenal area on and off for many months now. And I've also been having a problem with getting chakra linked in that very area, or chakra linked anywhere in my chakra system, but it's causing pain in that same exact area. And I think this pathway thing, this orange pathway, is part of the problem, because I think that I have had enough exposure from the energy on this pathway to just kind of weaken my system and make me vulnerable to chakra linking, but also just generally weakening my system because of the length of exposure. Now, the only reason it didn't get to be excruciating exposure, because I would have to classify the pain in the last 5 days, last 3 days, as truly excruciating. I mean, no sleep, not being able to sleep, barely being able to focus, body hurting all over, kind of radiating out from that one spot, really uncomfortable. And I trot along and all that, and keep moving and going and get out of the house, and I get a lot of relief. But it just has not been a fun situation. But I think the reason this wasn't a bigger player over the months than it has been, other than just generally weakening my system, is that now I lost my train of thought. It's the location. It's just not in a place where I spend a lot of time. I never sit at the end of this table. And what's interesting is, because I was having so much trouble starting 6 days ago, sitting at the table, I usually sit in one of the four chairs on the side. Well, because I was having so much trouble, I moved and I started sitting on the end, where initially I thought that might be more comfortable. And then I realized it was actually making matters worse. And I moved all the way away and started just standing like in the kitchen to do my work. And I wasn't going anywhere around that table. Well, I think all along over the months, I've just not been exposed that much. I walk in and out of it, but I don't sit in it. I don't sleep in it. I don't sit in it. So what caused the problem? Well, you see the sofa, you see the chair area. About 5.5 months ago, I had a friend visit and he took a couple naps on that sofa. It ended up, he left something called a bed pattern um, right in the area around the sofa where the grid path started. And the bed patterns are something you can, if you've ever studied any of Joey Korn's work, he's the person who discovered these patterns. They relate to a light body pattern that we have, all of us have around us. And if there's a variety of things, including emotional energies, belief codes, etc., that can cause some of the light centers within this big pattern to go dark or cloudy, muddy. And when that happens, it can actually imprint the environment. I think it can actually cause spirit unit breaks in midair in the environment. And these bed patterns will occur usually around beds because we spend a lot of time there and it takes time and resonance for the imprints to occur. Or chairs where you sit frequently. So my friend took just a couple of naps, but he must have had some stuff going on, significant enough to imprint the space with his bed pattern, the muddy parts of his bed pattern. And then when he was visiting, he would sit in that chair anytime we had a meal in the space. And so he had left the same part of the bed pattern in that kind of just in midair in that space. And I just had not ever doused about bed patterns and not thinking. I did check the bedrooms initially and cleared bedrooms of any bed patterns that were there from the past when I first got the house. But I didn't check downstairs and because I just didn't think of it. It was a sofa and I just didn't think of it. Anyway, I cleared the bed patterns. I did that just today. And the way I did it is I just used my intention and I sent the bed pattern back to the creator of the bed pattern. That's an easy way to clear bed patterns. Is you just hold your intention and you just say, please send. You identify that there is a bed pattern and you say, please send this pattern, whatever energy is left here from someone else, send it back. This is not my business or it's now my business, but it shouldn't be my business. Send this back to whoever created it. And just like that, if you get a strong focused intention, it will eliminate the problem, which it did. Now, the upside of the story is that not only did it eliminate the bed patterns, but it instantly took away all the pain. And I mean all of the pain. So that tells me that this was a pretty significant issue and probably creating ongoing, the ongoing buildup of the stress in the adrenal area. But anyway, I'm feeling wonderful. And but wanted to share this story because it goes to show you, number one, how impacting these situations can be. Negatively charged grid pathways are very, very, very common. They can not only cause pain, like I was reporting, and problems like that, but they truly can be deadly. I had one case a number of years ago. This is probably back a good 20 years ago. But one case with this gal whose husband had died, and she had of lung cancer, and she had asked me to come in after the fact. She had heard me lecture and said, wow, she's so curious and to have me come over and see if there were any of these pathways in their house. And sure, I found where the king bed was, there was a big pathway running down one side of the bed, and I did not know who slept where, but she reported that's the side he slept on. And then I found another pathway that was running at the base of the bed, and it ran all the way through a little hallway into another little den or office type area where there was a desk, and just moved right through the desk. Well, that's where he would spend 2 to 3 hours a day. So he was getting it at night, he was getting it during the daytime. He was just totally getting blasted with the toxic energy on those grid pathways. What's interesting, and again, died of lung cancer. Now, what's interesting is the people they bought the home from. The reason the home was being sold is because the husband of the couple had died of lung cancer. So probably the same grid pathways were there when he was there, or he was the creator, possibly, of, the facilitator, the beacon point that actually charged the grid pathway. Because we can be the cat box, we can be like the cat poop box if we're holding too much too many trapped emotions, too many toxic belief codes, too much acquired energy from other people. And check around your beds. Very often you'll find, if you're holding lots of stuff, you'll find bed patterns, your own bed pattern, and you need to clear that out. And you need to take that as a sign. You better be doing some emotional work, some belief code clearing work. These are just red flags that you're holding way too much energy if you're creating bed patterns. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the story, and get out your dowsing rod and check for any negatively charged grid lines in your grid paths in your space. They're actually waves that move in a straight line, so it might be better just to say grid paths or grid pathways. See if there's anything. Do this periodically. Keep your space clean. That's it for now. I'll talk to you another time. Bye.